We have new information right now on a chilling crime in East St. Louis.
They took them to Jones Park and they fired off in the vehicle, hitting my wife 4 times, killing Quentin and Shania Thompson, and shooting my auntie in the face.
She chose to do this. I can't show her no sympathy. I hate to be like that, especially in this time, but it is what it is.
Prosecutors said J. Meyer Davis wrote his girlfriend about shooting and stabbing a cousin, and that the teen girl answered, "I can do that. I love blood."
Patricia May got out of the car because her granddaughter asked her to. She walked into her own daughter's apartment, a building this family had used for years, because when blood calls you inside, you don't hesitate. You just go. What Patricia didn't know is that the boy her granddaughter loved was already there, waiting in a closet. She did not walk back out of that apartment. 4 more members of her family wouldn't either before the week was done. 5 people, 1 family gone in 7 days. And these two, 16 and 15 years old, thought they were riding off into some kind of love story. Real cinematic, real romantic, real amateur hour. Because the actual Bonnie and Clyde ran for 2 years across 5 states before anybody caught them. These two didn't even make it out of East St. Louis. State troopers ran them down in a stolen car at a state park before the week was even over, with a grandmother's severed thumb sitting in the center console for anybody to find. Baby, that's not a getaway. That's a group project nobody finished. And when investigators finally sat that boy down, his own lawyer stood up in a courtroom and said with a straight face that his client wasn't the hunter. He was the hunted. We'll circle back to that one. Y'all keep showing up for these stories and for these families, and I don't take one bit of that lightly. This one's heavy, but you're still here. So, before we get into what happened to the Mays and the Thompsons, thank you. Genuinely. Now come sit with me. Let's start with who these people actually were before any of this got reduced to a headline count. Patricia May was 74 years old, and for 25 years she worked at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. 25 years, same job, same community, same woman showing up. That's not just a work history. That's a whole life built one ordinary day at a time. Around East St. Louis, people didn't even bother using her real name. They just called her Granny. Didn't matter whose granny you actually were either. If you knew her, she claimed you too. Her daughter, Sherry May, was 49. Family remembers her as the one you called first when something went wrong, because she was going to show up, no questions asked, no lecture attached. That kind of reputation doesn't happen by accident. It gets built one favor, one ride to the hospital, one late night phone call at a time for years, until it's just who you are to everybody. Her son, Devin May, was 24 years old, and he had a 1-year-old daughter he was already wrapped completely around. By his wife's account, he loved that little girl so much. You flat out could not say one sideways thing about her in his presence, not one. He worked hard. He came home. He showed up. And now that baby girl is going to grow up knowing her father mostly through what everybody else remembers about him, because he's not going to be the one telling her himself. Then there's Quentin and Shania Thompson, 21 and 25, brother and sister, both of them still in the middle of becoming whoever they were going to be. Quentin loved to draw. He was deep into anime, the kind of quiet, specific hobby that tells you somebody had a whole imagination running behind their eyes that most people never got to see. And Shania could cook, not just holiday dinner cook, restaurant dream cook. She was already talking about putting her name on a door one day, her own place, her own menu, her own something. built from scratch, the hard way, the way people who actually mean it do it. That dream doesn't get to happen now. It doesn't get to happen ever. 5 people. A grandmother, a mother, a son, a brother, a sister. Real people with real Tuesdays and real plans for next year, erased inside of one single week. Now, from the outside, this looked like an ordinary East St. Louis family. Big, close, the kind that shows up for each other. That part was true. It just wasn't the whole story, because underneath all of that, there was a 15-year-old girl in this family in a relationship with a 16-year-old named Jamir Davis, and her people did not want him around. A pastor who says she knew this family put a reason to it on camera.
A pastor who says she knows everyone involved tells us the 2 teen suspects are boyfriend and girlfriend. She says the teens plotted these shootings because the targeted family members would not allow the teens to stay with them because the young boy had stolen a gun.
Baby, read that again. The reason given wasn't he was rude at dinner. It was this boy already had a stolen gun in his hands before anybody in that family told him no. And this wasn't the first time this exact fight had played out either. A relative says the 2 of them had run off together before. More than once. Every single time her family found her, and every single time they brought her home. That is not 2 teenagers falling in love against the world, no matter how they told it to themselves. That's a family running an active recovery mission over and over on a girl they refuse to let go of.
It's all because y'all wanted to be together. So they wanted to eliminate everybody that had a problem with the situation.
So when this family finally drew a hard line and said, no, this boy does not move in here, they had no earthly idea that no wasn't going to end a relationship. It was going to end 5 lives instead. Here's what makes this case different from a lot of what we cover on this channel. This family did not miss the signs. They saw them, they reported them, and it still wasn't enough to stop what was coming.
The family says the gun used in the shootings was stolen from the 15-year-old's mother before the shooting.
Her daughter took the keys from her purse, unlocked the lockbox, and took the firearm. The police were notified as soon as they found out that the firearm was taken.
So a gun went missing from a locked box. The mother noticed. She called the police. That's one report. Now, per Jamir Davis's own mother, that wasn't the only one. 2 mothers, multiple reports. And what came back by her own account was 1 incident number and no follow-up. I want to be fair here because this is one mother's account of her own son made 4 days after he was arrested for 5 murders. It hasn't been independently confirmed by prosecutors. But if even half of it holds up, that's not a family that looked away. That's a family that tried more than once and got a case number instead of an intervention. And underneath all of that reporting, there was one more thing neither mother knew the full size of yet. A list being built between the 2 of them of exactly who would need to be dealt with. We'll get to what was actually written on it. Not yet. Sherry May was killed first, sometime between July 5th and July 7th at the Gompers housing complex. Her body was found in a storage tote behind a dumpster. Days passed before anyone knew she was gone. On July 12th, her brother Devin and her mother Patricia went to that same apartment. They hadn't heard from Cherie. They went to check on her. Prosecutors say Jamir Davis was already inside, waiting in a closet. Devin was shot first. Patricia was outside in the car. Prosecutors say her granddaughter went out and brought her in. Davis stepped out of the closet and shot her too. Prosecutors say he then cut off her thumb. Across the other 2 scenes that same day, Jones Park, and a home at 39th and Summit. The violence continued. Quentin Thompson and Shania Thompson, brother and sister, were shot and killed. 2 more family members were shot and survived. 7 people were shot in 1 week. 5 did not survive it. By the time state troopers caught up with them at Frank Houghton State Park, driving a car that wasn't theirs, the whole thing had lasted less than a week. Some getaway.
The Illinois State Police, along with the East St. Louis Police Department, are investigating a targeted mass shooting against a family here in East St. Louis. Preliminary investigation indicates that 2 16-year-old suspects were taken into custody on Sunday, July 12th, today, 2026, after Illinois State Police officers successfully executed a precision immobilization technique maneuver on the vehicle when took into custody one of the individuals suspected in this horrible, horrible crime, and one of the suspects was driving that vehicle. At least 7 members of the targeted family were shot at multiple locations in the East St. Louis area. And as of right now, 5 victims have been confirmed deceased. One of these was at 39th and Summit, 3 at the Gompers Public Housing Project, 1 here at Jones Park, which is right here behind us. 2 individuals at Jones Park were also shot. They have, at least as of now, they have survived. They have serious injuries, and they are at a hospital in St. Louis. The Illinois State Police has been in close contact with the state's attorney's office and will be seeking charges against the suspects. The investigation remains fluid, remains active, and additional information will be released as it becomes available. Now, right now, there is no known threat to the public. I just want to be clear. This is not currently an active shooter situation. The suspects that were involved have been taken into custody, are in the custody of the Illinois State Police at this time. Let me just say this. This community, the community of East St. Louis, has worked very hard with the Illinois State Police, with our partners and the City of East St. Louis Police to reduce violence, to stop violence here in this community. They have come a long way, working together with law enforcement, working with our partners in the community. And I just want to say that these alleged acts of horrific violence, taking this number of lives here in this community, it's terrible, it's evil, but it will not keep this city down. The progress we have made will not be lost as a result of this terrible, terrible acts of violence that have occurred in this community today. So this is the City of Champions. I'm glad to have our partners with us from the City of East St. Louis. This will not deter this community from continuing to do the good work of keeping people safe so that they can have a brighter day here in this city. So with that, I'll take questions. Not sure much I can add at this point because, again, this is ongoing as we speak, this investigation in those 3 different crime scenes. And those are the names of the deceased. I will make sure that you have those. That is Cherie L. May. She has a date of birth of 10/11/76. Quentin L. Thompson, November 15th, 2004. Devin D. May, February 17th, 2002. Shania Thompson, September 26th, 2000. And Patricia May, January 8th, 1952. So with that, I'll try to answer whatever questions I can.
How do you think about the motive potentially for this?
Not yet at this point. We are still investigating that. We are getting some information. The picture is coming together. We have a lot of Illinois State Police special agents, troopers, officers from our local partners that are actively involved investigating those particular questions. And I think that'll become apparent over time.
How do you know it was targeted?
You can look at the family relationship and the relationship to the suspects that have been apprehended, and you can see that it was focused on this particular family.
Are you able to tell us that relationship?
Not particularly between the 2 suspects and all the various deceased, but it's a large family, some direct family, other relations.
Are the suspects related?
The suspect's related to...
Are the suspects kin to each other?
One of them is, yes.
How can you...
Not yet at this point, because it all depends on which victim you're talking about. But there is a family connection.
Okay,
Cousins,
so one
perhaps.
of the suspects is related to
Correct.
one of the victims.
At least one of them, correct, yes.
Are the victims related to each other?
Yes, this is a family. Yeah, like I said, yes. Yeah.
Mother, daughter, cousin?
I can't tell you all those yet. It depends on which victims you're talking about, and we are still trying to make sure we're very clear about what those relationships are.
Did the victims live together?
These are 3 different locations. So we had people out here in Jones Park that were the victim of this violence. We have people that were in a residence in the Gompers, and then we have a separate residence where it's 39th and Summit. Families, as you know, may go from different place to place depending on what their situation in life is or what it is from day to day, depending where you might be staying for the night.
Were there any bystander victims, especially at the park, a public
No,
location?
no. There's another reason why we can characterize it as targeted, because there was no people that were unrelated to this particular family or the individuals that were involved with this family. So as of right now, we have no indication that any innocent bystanders were affected.
What was the time this a mass shooting, even though it happened at multiple different locations, different times?
Because they're all related, and because of the definition of what a mass shooting is, and also the proximity that, yes, this is a large city, and these are multiple complex crime scenes, but because of one common connection and the way this has unplayed, it may be appropriate to characterize it as a mass shooting.
What was the time span of the incident? From what point to what point? How long did it last?
Well, obviously today were some of the key time frame of when the events occurred. But it is possible some of this was stretched out over a period as well. But again, we're investigating that, and that is obviously part of the forensics that we're investigating.
So this was all yesterday, or?
Primarily today, and it's possible over a different time frame as well. As of right now, I can give you this information as to what was occurring today.
Where were the suspects arrested?
The suspects, I believe, were in Frank Holden State Park.
Can you put a shooting of this magnitude into historical context for the city in this ISP investigative zone? Has anything like this ever happened?
So I will say, I wish there were no prior cases where you had a quintuple homicide where 5 people have been deceased. It has happened in the history of the Illinois State Police and in the history of East St. Louis. If you go back decades and decades, but it is very rare. And there are very few people that work with the Illinois State Police today, or the East St. Louis Police, or that even in this community that can remember something like this happening.
To clarify the time, do we just say today, this morning, this afternoon?
Now from here, this stopped being a mystery pretty fast, because investigators didn't just find 2 teenagers in a stolen car. They found a paper trail.
Prosecutors say the first murder was between July 5th and July 7th here at Samuel Gomper's homes. Cherie May was the first killed, found in a storage tote behind a dumpster. Prosecutors said Jay Meyer Davis wrote his girlfriend about shooting and stabbing a cousin, and that the teen girl answered, "I can do that. I love blood," and then also messaged, "Babe, I'm finna lose my whole family for you."
Remember that line from the very top of this video? That's where it came from. Read in open court by a prosecutor off of an actual phone. And after all of that, the timeline, the thumb, the messages, here's how Jamie Davis's own attorney chose to describe him.
Davis's defense said the truth will come out in trial, calling the killing self-defense and saying his client was hunted rather than being the hunter.
Baby, I told you we'd circle back to that one. I'll say this plainly. A defense attorney's job is to say that. That's the job. Whether it holds up in front of a jury is a different conversation entirely, and we are nowhere near having it yet. The girl, meanwhile, is still only known publicly by 2 initials, W.T., while prosecutors fight to move her case into adult court too. 2 teenagers, 12 felony counts between them so far, a trial that hasn't happened yet, and a family that's already had to bury 5 people before anybody said the word guilty out loud. So where does this actually stand right now? Because I know some of y'all want a verdict, and baby, we don't have one yet. A judge already ruled Jaimir Davis stays exactly where he is, no bond, no release, because prosecutors argued he's a, quote, real and present danger. Illinois did away with cash bail a while back, so this wasn't about money. It was about whether he's safe to be anywhere near the outside world before trial. The judge said no. And here's the thing about a 16-year-old whose own lawyer is already building a self-defense case from inside a jail cell. He is not walking out of anytime soon. That's a hard sell. That's asking a jury to believe the hunted one somehow ended up holding the only working gun. His girlfriend's case is still sitting in juvenile court for now, while prosecutors push to get her moved to adult court right alongside him. No trial date exists yet, not for either of them. If you're still with me at this point, hit that like button real quick. It genuinely helps more than you think. Okay, moving on. So here's where we actually are. 2 teenagers, 12 felony charges between them and counting, and a family that's already planned 5 funerals without a single word of guilty or not guilty ever spoken in a courtroom. This case is not over, it's barely started. Now, I want to talk about how this community is actually processing all of this, because it is not simple and it is not one-sided. The night after that bond hearing, hundreds of people packed into All Nations Church for a prayer vigil. And what struck me watching this back wasn't just grief for the 5 who died. It was how tangled up people's feelings were.
That's where hate comes from. So we're taught to love one another and we have to forgive one another. But I'm wondering, what is she thinking now? Because, I mean, from what I'm hearing, they wanted to be together, but they're definitely not going to be together now. They can't be together now.
That's a real tension, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't. Forgive, but also, what was she thinking? Pray for everybody, but also look what together actually cost. And then there's the other half of this conversation, which got a lot louder once Jaimir Davis's own mother posted publicly about it. 269 shares, dozens of comments, and by her own account, people sending her friend requests just to keep the argument going in her inbox. Whatever you think of what she said, that's the internet doing exactly what it does, baby. Taking somebody's pain and turning it into a comment section. So, I'll ask y'all directly. Should a 15-year-old accused of planning something like this be tried as an adult? Drop your answer below, because I already know this comment section is about to have a lot to say. Before we close this out, I want to go back to the 5 people this story's actually about. One more time, by name: Patricia May, Cherie May, Devin May, Quentin Thompson, Shania Thompson. God bless them. Every one of them was loved long before any of this happened, and long before the world knew their names for the worst possible reason. That prayer vigil, all those hundreds of people who showed up, that wasn't for the case. That was for them. A 74-year-old woman got out of a car because somebody she loved asked her to come inside. That's it. That's the whole tragedy in one sentence. Trust used as the door. If this case is still developing by the time you're watching this, because it is, we are going to stay on it. New hearing dates, the push to move that 15-year-old into adult court, whatever comes next, we'll be right here for it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Drop a comment and let me know what you think should happen to both of them. And I will see you in the next one. We're Crime of Love. We tell the story, not the angle. And we'll be back.